Thank you so much. Good evening, good morning. You know the rest. Welcome to The Long Shot. It's a podcast. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Sean Conroy. Also, as always, Amber Kenny is here.
Hello.
And I just want to say this publicly because we already said it privately. Happy Father's Day, Amber.
Happy Father's Day.
Congratulations on all your work.
Thank you.
I still haven't spoken with my father.
You haven't?
In 11 years. No, I'm kidding. No, I have not had time to get in touch with him for Father's Day. I hope I'm able to do that. Because, the time thing always fucks me up. The time thing with the East Coast, it's only 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Smudgy alert.
If he's here, he says hello.
I don't know why, but the 3 hour difference makes it incredibly difficult to speak with people on the East Coast.
Is it like every time you think of it, it's a very inopportune time for them?
Yeah, it's like they're either commuting at that time or it's too late, I'm never ready to talk to somebody at 8 o'clock in the morning, which would be like 11 o'clock there. And it's like, it's fine. It's not that. It's like, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. Oh, I just left work and I'm on my way, And I understand that, everybody has a mobile phone at this point, so you can call in the middle of that stuff. But I don't know. It's just weird how difficult it is. I never thought that would be an issue. And it's entirely possible that nobody's interested in keeping in touch with me, and that's why it's difficult, is because they're like, I'm commuting and I don't have a mobile, so please don't get in touch with me. We have a lot to get to today because, full disclosure, Amber and I are recording 2 episodes at the same time.
There goes the movie magic.
Because I am leaving town for a variety of things that we'll talk about next episode and then the following episode after that. But because we're recording 2 episodes today, we decided we would start by just going through some YouTube comments. That seems to be the way that people are best at getting in touch with us. So, and we have a few. The first one we got was from Tony Leslie, who says, hello. It's always nice when people start with some kind of greeting.
Classic. Yeah.
On topic of what the old main section of the show was called, because we had discussed that, I wondered if it'd be interesting if people had stories relating to the old episode topics. The prompt of a general topic as a jumping off point often reminded me of stories from my own life. Don't know how that'd be organized, but it'd be interesting to hear/read.
For the comment section, not the show itself.
I don't know. I mean, he says hear/read, which was a fundraising event that Guns N' Roses used to do. So I don't know that we'll have people on to go like, in episode 445, you guys talked about baking, and it reminded me of the time that I made a bundt cake. But if people wanted to share their stories, I think that would be great. I think stories are interesting. Jeff alert. Jeff alert.
Smudgy's having a snack in his crate and everything's going to be fine.
He's participating in the podcast under protest, clearly.
Yes.
No, but I think that is a thing where it's almost the same thing that happens in conversation sometimes, where you hear somebody going, this is what happened to me the other day, and you want to be like, this is my experience of that was this.
Right, a conversation.
I'm not sure how that works. But I will say this. I don't know. I haven't mentioned this, but somehow on Facebook, I opened up a chat recently in the Long Shot podcast page.
You can do that?
I didn't understand it, but apparently you can. So there's like
Okay.
an ongoing chat that people can respond to if they are members of the
It's not just a comment that people are like a post that people are commenting.
I don't know this for sure. I think it may happen in real time if you want. Like, I think if you go there and start writing, people can respond right away. Again, I'm not sure about that, but that's my understanding of what chat means. And this is specifically called a chat.
Okay.
So 2 people have like I just posted like, let's see how this goes, or some other like non-committal, indeterminate thing, which is the underlying ethos of this podcast. And then a couple of people have responded over the past couple of weeks, but I just wanted people to know that that's out there. And if that's a place that people wanted to say, here's my experience with baking. I made a Jell-O mold into a pile of tin. That would be great.
Doesn't seem like it's related to baking all that much.
Well, they baked the Jell-O mold and it melted. It was not intentional, to be honest. I didn't realize that was not for baking. It was just for putting in the fridge. You can't bake Jell-O. But anyway, and if other people have suggestions of how we could do that, I would be interested to hear them, because that would be fun to hear what people had to say about stuff. Okay, here's one from Rob, who says, when will Sean realize that Matt Damon's character from Goodwill Hunting was named Will Hunting?
Maybe right now?
I don't know. I don't know when that's going to happen. And I don't know if it's going to happen.
We pray every night.
I think what I love about Goodwill Hunting is that it works in so many different ways.
You mean the title?
Correct.
At least 2.
Well, you have the example here, which is supposedly, and I don't know if this is true.
It's like saying good Amber Kenny or good Sean Conroy.
Right. But Will Hunting is the character's name. I'm not aware of that, but I don't have access to IMDb right now, but that's entirely possible.
You were locked out.
I was harassing people with weird reviews. Sorry, sir, you're not allowed in here anymore. You keep trying to find out who the DP of A Bridge Too Far was. And it's just not in the listings. No, but then also there's the idea of like, I am going to a store that sells used goods and I'm trying to find something valuable. I am going Goodwill hunting.
Okay.
There's also the idea of, look, lots of people decide they're going to leave things to various members of their family. Some of them are getting revenge on family members. Some of them are just being generous. Who are these generous people leaving things to their family? I'd like to read the document they signed that left these things. I am going Goodwill hunting. I'm sure there's others. I haven't.
I don't think the last 2 that you listed have anything to do with the movie, unfortunately.
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie in a while. Isn't there a scene where he goes to a store and he's like, I like apples?
Is this the Goodwill? He wants used apples.
Sir, these have been around for a while, and if you buy them, we will unban you from IMDb. No, thank you, Rob.
And there's the meaning that you haven't said, where it's like looking for goodwill in the world, like not shopping, like a positive. No,
I don't follow. You lost me. The next one is from Dreamy Time Films, our friend Frank out in Hawaii, who says, yes, Sean said aloha nui loa correctly,
Nice.
Aloha nui loa means with much love, and Sean could have responded with, oh boy, here we go. Eole pilikia, which means you're welcome. I'll let you figure out how to say that yourself. Well, I just did, and I think I did pretty well. Ha, winky face emoji. Just to let y'all know, aloha not only means hello and goodbye, but it can also be used to mean love, compassion, and affection. Can it mean goodwill? Probably.
It means each of the words in Goodwill Hunting, like the whole title.
Yeah, I wrote a script. It's called Eola Pilikia Hunting. The literal meaning of aloha is the presence of breath or the breath of life. It comes from alo, meaning presence, front and face, and ha, meaning breath. When Hawaiians greet each other, they do honi'ihu, or the touching of noses, which is a traditional method of greeting one another that allows both people to exchange breath, which is the supremely important life force in Hawaiian understanding. I mean, I feel like that's true with,
yeah, breath.
Everybody understands that.
It's up there, top 10 list.
You don't have that, you got not a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And also share sense and convey a closeness in relationship. So there is your Hawaiian language lesson of the week. Mahalo nui loa. I love how Frank lists like 11 different Hawaiian phrases for me to...
It's like gotcha.
Bungle, yeah. But, the next time I see someone Hawaiian, I will know to gently headbutt them in the face.
No, that's really lovely.
Vials of cologne. Here's my scent. What's yours? Yeah, it is interesting to read Hawaiian. Okay. The next one is from, I think I somehow cut this off by accident. I think it's John Calvillo, although it only says on Calvillo on my thing. I've been listening since the 4th season, first time interacting. Welcome, John. Wow. Thank you for being involved and for caring enough to send us something. First time interacting in any way. All I have to say is I love this combo. I love the show when Eddie was sometimes on, and the Joe shows are hilarious, and I really miss Jamie, but you guys make a great combo, and you have hilarious conversations. Sean, sorry if my grammar is all fucked up. All right. Look, your grammar was fine, John. Yeah, here's the thing. I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day. Like, I guess it was probably in class, where I feel like I am teaching people writing, and I am a bad person for pointing out mistakes that people make in grammar. Like, people are the attitude in the world at this point is so like, who gives a shit? Why does anybody care? As long as you say it in English or Hawaiian, depending on where you're from, then why do you care whether I say lie or lay correctly? Why do you care if you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't know if that is the thing, though. I think that just a lot of people don't know the correct. Like, I don't think they're saying, like, I don't care about being right. They just don't know the right answer.
I guess I am, because I think there is a thing of, in real life, if you said something and I went, hold on, you got that wrong, that feels obnoxious to me. Mm-hmm. And I think that is where the idea of like, oh, this person's a grammar Nazi comes from, right?
Right.
And that's probably something that I have done on more than one occasion. But I also feel like there's an element, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of specific people, but I can't think of who they are, which is weird because they are specific people. Maybe I'm misusing the English language. But that people just are like, it doesn't matter. It does not matter what's right and what's wrong. You can say whatever you want. And what ends up happening is that usage gets corrupted by people going, who cares? So then, because you remember the way it was supposed to be used, you are the asshole because everybody's now like, no, this is the way you use this word now.
But language evolves, not to be arguing every point you make, but sometimes the meaning and usage of words does change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think that's actually not true.
Okay.
I love this podcast. They get into all these dialectical arguments about the evolution of language and what, they used to say springe instead of spring, and now it's
I don't know. I get what you're saying.
It just bugs me because I notice everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, do I bring this up? Because I'm reading people's scripts. I'm literally looking at stuff that people have written. And it stands out to me when people do stuff like that. And I'm like, do I bring this up and feel like an asshole? Or do I not bring it up and let this person say something incorrectly?
Right. Well, I feel like as a teacher, that is a definite different role than just being the person who does that at a cocktail party in conversation. Like, it's very different. I think as a teacher, you're in a position to correct and give notes. That's what you've been asked to do.
I do think, well, I mean, I enjoy going to grammar Nazi cocktail parties. So that's just all about trying to burn people.
Nightmarish.
But I was trying to think of a good example. And this is a thing that people write all the time in scripts that irks me. And no one can understand why it bothers me.
Okay.
And I think it's grammar. Amber walks in the room and looks to see that the TV is on. The way I'm saying that to me indicates that the reason you are looking is to see that the TV is on, that it is an intentional act on your part that you are trying to see to make sure that the TV is on.
The whole activity is about
seeing that the TV. What people mean when they write Amber walks in the room and looks to see that the correct. That's the way to say it. Amber walks in and sees that the TV is on. Mm-hmm. But no one writes it like that, and I just don't.
Yeah,
I know I sound insane right now, but it comes up over and over and over. And I'm like, what is wrong with people?
It's weird because it's a complicated. Is it because they're writing in the way that they think that writing sounds? Because it's not how we think or talk.
No, it's not. And I don't understand it. I don't know what the answer to that is. But it is so common. And then when I say, like, you got it right away, but when I try to explain to people, like, it doesn't compute. They're like, no, she looks to see the TV is on. And I'm like, no, what you're saying is
she sees that the
TV looks, is the TV on? Yes, it is. She looks to see that the TV is on. Or does she go, I'm going into this, the TV is on. Somebody left the TV on, Like I said, I know I sound insane.
No, you don't sound insane. Could I say one other thing about grammar stuff? Mm-hmm. I used to be really good at it. Like I would roll my eyes.
I believe you mean to say I used to be really well at
it. But like I would roll my eyes if people used the wrong there or the wrong to. And I don't know if it's age, if it's like my brain is flabby, or if it truly I have brain damage from COVID, but like I find myself making those mistakes that used to be so irksome to me. Like, I don't know if we're all just so dependent on like autocorrect and but like I'll send an email and immediately be like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? So I don't know what that's about.
It was so great to meet you, our kids.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, I have nothing else to say about that. But John, you did fine. Your grammar's not all fucked up. And even if it was, who gives a shit? Fuck that grammar up. Who cares? No one.
I think that I don't think he was coming for you with that. I think he was expressing.
Oh, everybody is coming for me at all.
He was expressing his lack of confidence in what he just wrote and wanted to be respectful. I don't think he was saying like, "You piece of shit, you're gonna like correct me."
So your interpretation is that he was like, Sean, sorry if my grammar's all fucked up. And my interpretation is like, Sean, sorry if my grammar's all fucked up.
Yes.
We see the world differently. We see our place in it differently. Okay, here's the next one. This is from Green Apple Cat. And it says, when listening to Sean read How to Fold Soup's comment. Now, I'm sure
this is a comment about a comment about a comment.
Well, I'm sure it was How to Fold Soup's comment, not How to Fold Soup 2's comment, because there's How to Fold Soup and How to Fold Soup, and it's the same person. I was sure he'd read it out I was sure he'd read it out the week before and was surprised Amber didn't pick him up on it. Then I realized it was familiar because I'd read the comment already here in the YouTube comments.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, it reminded me of Sean's In the Elevator with Henry Winkler story, which he told 3 weeks in a row, the third week on purpose. Just wondering if Sean could possibly recount the tale again for new listeners and old.
You absolutely should. That's really funny, where you're like, you've told this story. Like, oh, no, wait.
Right. That's such a familiar... I mean, even when I was going back today and trying to grab comments from the YouTube channel, I was like, which ones have we done? Which ones have we not done? Because I get them forwarded into my email. So I have seen all of them, but I can't remember which ones we've actually talked about on the show.
Mark those emails.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
It's really high.
Yeah.
There was something else I was going to say about that. Oh, have you also had someone tell you a story that you're like, yeah, that was me? It's kind of like that a little bit.
I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was really upset about how people don't care about grammar anymore. Yes. And then he started speaking Hawaiian. It was crazy. Yes, that was me. Have you seen Goodwill Hunting?
Or maybe it's more about the actual hunting, like hunters and guns and animals.
Oh, like some people go out unfriendly hunting. But, hey, Frank, we're friends. I like you. Let's go kill some lions. Yeah. Okay. So that was years ago. That was when I was on Children's Hospital, or I wasn't on it. I mean, I was on it a couple times, but I think I was working on writing stuff for Children's Hospital and just shared an elevator with Henry Winkler, who was such an icon. I mean, still such an icon, but he was such an icon of my childhood. I was never allowed to watch TV during the weeknights. All of a sudden, it seems like I'm not a native English speaker. I was never allowed to watch TV.
To see the TV was on.
I looked to see the TV was not on, and I was never allowed to watch the TV during the weeknights. But you know, Happy Days was on when I was a kid, and that was the show that everybody talked about when they came into school the next day. And in my memory, and I could be wrong about this, and somebody please absolutely should look this up and check me on this.
Come for me.
Yeah, motherfuckers. I'm going to say that Happy Days was on Tuesday nights in like 1978, 79. And the next day you'd go into school and people would be like...
Wednesday. I know this one. Wednesday.
The next day? Yeah. The next day, which, by the way, was Wednesday.
You'd look to see that it was Wednesday.
But everybody would be like, oh, that was an amazing episode of Happy Days last night. It was so funny when Fonzie did this and Chachi did this and, you know, Ralph Mouth did this and Potsy did this, and
It's a 30-minute show. How many things could have happened?
people did a lot of things. That's how you pitch a sitcom, by the way. You go, oh, we have this person, and this person. And they each do something. What do you think?
I like it.
But I would always lie and like I was the kid who was like, yeah, that was really funny. I loved that part. That was great.
I know that feeling so bad. It's or like, yeah, I've heard that band.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sad.
I just wanted to fit in.
I liked his leather jacket, like how he wore leather.
It was so cool when he was like, hey, and then he combed his hair. I really did. Like, and like, I look back at that, and that's like a theme of my life. And I look back at that and I'm like, I wish I had been smart enough at that age to go, yeah, I'm fucking weird. Who cares? That's the way it is. And that's not a bad thing. You know?
It's tough at that age though, because all you want to do is be exactly like everybody else. And
yeah. And I probably said this before, but I did. So that was like 5th and 6th grade for me. Mm-hmm. And this is so crazy, but I was like taking a ceramics class or something. And I took a mug.
No.
And I painted on it the Shawns with a Z at the end.
Oh, okay. So like a fawn?
Yes.
That's cool.
That was my coffee mug and with a little bit of whiskey in it in 5th and 6th grade.
And this was a show that you did not watch.
Didn't watch it. So anyway, I was at the set for Children's Hospital, and I got on the elevator, and Henry Winkler got on the elevator with me, and I just thought it was so fucking cool that there was Henry Winkler. And I told that story on the podcast. This was back in the days when we always had like 2 other people and a guest on the show. Mm-hmm. And I always had 90 different things going on in my head all the time. So I was
now you got nothing.
Now, yeah, I'm barely functional at this point. But
we do it mostly asleep.
Right. But it was just more tricky to keep the show moving, and who's next, and do we talk to this person or whatever? And I was always like,
we'd always do that whole first part, and there'd be someone sitting in your living room, and I was always so aware of that and like self-conscious, but trying not to be. Yeah.
Right. That Todd Glass would be over in the corner going, when do I get on?
And we're like, and then I met Henry Winkler again.
But so I mentioned it on the show, but I was not even cognizant of saying it. It was like in the middle of 5 other things. So then the next week I was talking and I mentioned it again, and nobody picked up on it till after the show was over. And I forget who. I think it was maybe Jamie was like, I think you told that story about Henry Winkler last week. And so, but it wasn't just the following week. I think
you did it like for a lot.
Like
it became like an inside
week
joke
after week.
Yeah.
And I think there were some people who were like, "Oh God, he's losing his mind."
Well, because you would figure out ways to shoehorn it in. Like that became the game. Of like how you can relate whatever we're talking to, like
right. Oh, you were at a building. Oh, that's cool. Some buildings have elevators. Hey, by the way,
we're at a building.
Why did he say at a building? He should have said by a building.
He looked to see a building.
Aloha nui loa. I rub noses with a building. Anyway, that was the story, and there you go, Henry Winkler. And you know, Henry Winkler did Children's Hospital, and now he was fucking amazing on Barry. Like,
so good.
What a career, that guy.
I don't know if we ever talked about the finale of Barry, but it was good. I liked
that show. Kind of blew my mind. Like, it was. There's so many things I loved about it, but the thing I loved the most. Well, no, there's so many things I loved about it. One of the things I loved the most was that it was not called Goodwill.
I thought we were going to start a loop where you're just going to keep doing.
I mean, there's a lot of things I love, but one, you know what I really,
There's a lot that I love.
I'm just listing Yeah. Oh no, I love that too. Um, the cinematography, which is a weird thing to say about a TV show, but he was so conscious, or I don't know who. I assume it was Bill Hader who had, his fingerprints all over everything on the show. But there may have been other people involved in the decision making or in the setting up of this stuff. But just the shots that they chose to show things were so amazing all the time in ways that, as a director myself, I would not necessarily be like, "Oh, this is a good way to show this."
Right. It's like unexpected.
There was one thing where I think it was the district attorney is talking to I think it was Henry Winkler and his agent or whoever that guy is. And the two shot, which is like, ordinarily you would frame straight on and there's these two guys sitting in the chairs and then you see the DA across from them and they shot it like from this guy's shoulder and you could see like his shoulder in the foreground and then Henry Winkler sitting in the background. And it was just a really interesting. Anyway, I don't have to go on and on about it. People have seen it. Who cares? What a dummy. Hey, let's go Goodwill hunting. But anyway, I love in the finale. Here's the last thing I'll say about the finale. The thing that made me laugh the most in the whole finale, and it's grim, but I found it hilarious, was after everybody gets killed in the lobby, one guy gets up and throws a grenade and then dies, and then a bunch more people get blown up. And it was such a long sequence, and it was so at the end of everything that he did that I just thought it was amazing. Okay. Here is another email from Cassine C, who is a person who just caught up with. Just got up to date. Yeah, the baker. The conversation about Vanderpump Rules reminds me of the time you guys destroyed La Brea. I never watched it, but I felt like I did just from listening, and I couldn't stop crying, laughing at everything that was said. I love that you guys nitpicked the time frames and questioned the existence of every animal. I'm on an old episode where Lo Shopo went to Movie Colony Hotel in Palm Springs. Just curious, will we still get the 20% off if we mention the Long Shot podcast? If that still works, that's insane because that was probably 10 years ago.
It definitely doesn't. That was when my friend John Michael worked there, and he doesn't even live in Palm Springs anymore. So there you go.
That's too bad. I actually had reservations on the train to the Movie Colony Hotel for the next couple days. But that was a weird. I mean, it was fun, but it was weird.
Yeah,
because we went to Palm Springs at like the height of the summer.
Yeah, I think it was like July.
It was basically the sun temperatures.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
And I just remember driving because I'm trying to remember who I drove with, maybe with Eddie or something. And we got to like an hour away from Palm Springs and we were like, let's get Starbucks. And we stepped out of the car and it was like walking into very hot,
What a beautiful picture you painted with your words.
It was so hot.
Yeah, I think that's the same trip. Jeff still brings it up because I'm a fan of the show Twilight Zone. And always around 4th of July, there's a Twilight Zone marathon. And I was in the pool, like pooling it up. And he came out and he was like, Twilight Zone's on. And I was like, I'll catch it another time. But it was very sweet.
It's been on for 50 years. Yeah. I get it. Something's happening and then there's a twist, okay?
It's not what you expect.
Yeah. Oh, they're all monkeys instead of people or whatever. But yeah, that was the thing. We stayed at the hotel, but we went to John Michael's house at one point because he had a pool there.
Yes.
And first of all, we recorded in a hotel room, and because it was so hot outside, we turned the AC up so high that people had icicles coming off their noses. And I think I can't remember. I always mix up Jamie and Eddie. I don't know either. I don't know
They're very similar.
what either of them looks like anymore. But one of them was on the couch, just like cocooned in a blanket the entire time and still freezing. But then we went to John Michael's house to go in the pool, and I was like, I am not going outside once I'm in the air conditioning. Like I just hung out in the AC.
Reading ship novels, I believe.
I think that's probably true. Although I was not aware, thanks for nothing, Jeff, I was not aware that the Twilight Zone was on. Because if I had known that, I would have watched. One of my favorite episodes is the one where it's like, it's not a ship novel. It's a thriller about a bank heist. It all takes place on land. They were on land the whole time. Go ahead.
That just reminds me, and I probably have told this story on the show, but I was obsessed with this book when I was in elementary school. And it was about like a young girl crossing the Atlantic on a ship and like eating hardtack and like all of that. And I really identified and was immersed, so much so that maybe a couple years later at school, somebody's like, has anyone ever been on a boat? And I raised my hand and I was like, yes. And I started telling
her story.
Yes. And then I was like, wait a minute.
I've absolutely been on a boat. I boarded in Dover and we set sail for northern Maryland. All we had was hardtack and some crumbly biscuits. By day 42, I had scurvy and my teeth were falling out. I could barely lift my arms. Then suddenly we sighted a couple of seagulls in the distance, and we knew that land was not far away.
I guess that's kind of like, yeah, that was me. Like, but yeah, brains are weird. They
God. Well, I just remember when I rode a motorcycle and jumped over a shark on the motorcycle. Crazy.
You loved them. So did you, once you had access to reruns or were able to watch TV, did you like binge Happy Days? Like, oh, that's what they meant. That's what they meant. Oh, I get that joke now.
There was a big sequence on that show that was about, well, these are the two things I remember. Pinky Tuscadero was like a female version of the Fonz. And everybody was like, oh, Pinky Tuscadero was on the show last night. It was really funny. She was funny. She had a leather jacket like the Fonz, but it says Tuscadero on the back, like that kind of shit. And
they just were saying facts about her costume.
She wore black leggings and she had some boots on. Did you guys see that last night? Yeah. She was wearing a bracelet and a couple of rings.
No one at your school actually watched the show. They all were just saying details.
I thought I never fit in, and I fit in the whole time.
You guys all were doing the same thing.
The whole time he was fitting in, and that was a famous Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, I loved how she was wearing pants.
Hey, remember when she walked through the door and then closed it behind herself? It was amazing. So funny. And then Fonz was there. The Fonz. The Fonz or Fonz? Fonzie.
She looked to see the Fonz.
But anyway, so Pinky Tuscadero was a big thing, and then the Malachi Crunch was another thing, and I feel like that had to do with, and this could totally be something I'm just imagining in my head. It had to do with like some kind of like smash up derby where the Malachi brothers would crush somebody else's car by backing into it from both sides. But I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it. That's just in my imagination. That's what that was. So no, I never watched.
Wow.
But it is funny in retrospect that television was such a thing that was verboten in my house growing up, by which I mean we weren't allowed to watch it. And that's what I ended up doing more than anything.
What does it mean? So what would you guys do? If you didn't watch TV,
a little thing called games. Homework. Yeah. Read books, play games, weep in our own rooms. We didn't have our own rooms. I would weep next to my brother and
he'd like, keep it down.
Yeah. but yeah, we we would do the things that kids do. We had a it's so funny in retrospect, like the big toy we had in the basement, the thing that we got to play with all the time, wooden blocks.
Okay, you have too many blocks in your childhood.
I lived on the wrong block. I played with blocks.
Well, wasn't your kindergarten or first grade journal just like blocks, math blocks? Like,
no, clay. That was clay.
Oh, clay. I thought there was blocks.
Yeah, no, it was clay. No, we had wooden blocks, and you could build little buildings out of them, and But now it's like I have Legos that I can turn into the Millennium Falcon. Like none of that shit. All right, the next one is from. This is from Phil up in Canada. He says, as we say in Canada, aloha nui lo. No, not that. Phil says, there's a lot of opportunities if you know when to take them. There's a lot of opportunities. If there aren't, you can make them. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is. I thought maybe you would recognize it.
It's clearly a theme song of some sort.
It sounds like Guys and Dolls or something. But you know Guys and Dolls really well, and you didn't recognize it, so I guess it is not.
It would sound like Guys and Dolls if it was more like Luck Be a Lady Tonight. That would sound like Guys and Dolls, but it doesn't say that. It says there's a lot of opportunities. And by the way, it shouldn't say, there's a lot of opportunities. It should say, there are a lot of opportunities. Not is.
Because it's plural.
But Phil, can you tell us what that's from? I'm sure, I don't know, we must have said the name of some show or something, and this is the theme song from it, but I don't know what it is, and I don't recognize it. Jamie Kaplan says, I was thinking it could be fun to start some conversations in here that have absolutely nothing to do with the episode posted, or even the podcast in general.
We're starting
great idea.
A social media platform.
Yeah. What's going on with the Department of Justice? But then here's what he says. What's everyone's favorite cooking vessel? Mine is definitely my carbon steel wok. So he's trying to get a conversation in the comment section of our show. No, I don't think so. About what is everybody's favorite cooking vessel? Mine was the Titanic, and then that sank. What is your favorite cooking vessel, Amber?
I don't know, like a pot.
Is there something you use over and over again, like one particular one? Yeah,
there's one. It's just a small sauce pot, I guess. I heat up a lot of soup in that, or I make my oatmeal. So I guess it's not. I don't know. There's no razzmatazz to it. I just use it a lot.
Yeah.
What about you?
I have a. It's a skillet or a frying pan. Non-stick, and I use that for many, many things. I cook in that. And I will say it does have 11 friendship bracelets on the handle, so it does have a little bit of razzmatazz, and then there's a tassel.
11 is too many.
There's a tassel attached to the other end.
Did it go to the Eras tour?
What is that?
That's the Taylor Swift concert tour. People go and they trade friendship bracelets.
Got it. So they're doing like a Disney thing, because isn't that a Disney thing too? That you get pins and you.
It's not official. It just people at home make friendship bracelets that say different Taylor Swift isms, and then they give them to people, and then they get other ones.
So it says my name is Taylor Swift, or Taylor Swift is sort of a sentence like Goodwill Hunting.
Yes. Here, hold on. I'll show you.
I need these pants by Friday. Take them to Taylor Swift. Oh, are you bringing one up?
Yeah. Well, like
Let me
they're
share screen here.
they're selling this. So it's not the best example because I think most of it is like a homemade situation, but this is what it looks like. If my computer will load. Okay, here we go. Like these are all.
Are you able to share with me?
Yes, I think so. So these are all different Taylor Swift albums.
Taylor Swift. That makes sense. Fearless. Okay, I get it. Speak Now. Great. Red. I know. Didn't she reissue Red? Like redo the whole album or something like that?
Yeah, Taylor's version.
1989 came out in 1994. Reputation. Lover. Folklore. Evermore. Midnights. So I feel like there's a theme here.
I mean, those are the name of her albums. Okay, let's hear the theme.
English words.
Oh yeah, and some numbers.
And numbers. Yeah. Numbers that could be translated into words.
I suppose that is correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not.
I only brought that up because when you said 11 friendship bracelets on your skillet, I was
like, let me find a picture of 11 friendship.
Well, bracelets. I was picturing that exact look, like beads and handmade.
Yeah, they're not. I have. They're not Taylor Swift album titles.
They're Harry Styles.
Yes. They're Harry Styles album titles, but 3 of them are the same because he only has 8 albums. So
he only has really 3 albums.
Well, I'm talking about the ones the other
One Direction.
Yeah. I count those. So anyway, let's hear what everybody's favorite cooking vessel is. We might change this to a cooking vessel podcast. We'll see. Okay, here is from A. Fred O'Google, who has written to us before, who says, "Aloha, Amber and Sean." A lot of Hawaiian phrases this time. "My great appreciation for you continues. Thank you, thank you. More smudgy, please. Also, happy anniversary, Sean. Aloha nui loa." I don't know what anniversary I'm celebrating. Oh, my marriage to my wife. No, I'm not sure what anniversary that is.
You must have talked about it on the episode he's commenting on, like the anniversary of
Henry Winkler getting on the elevator with me.
Yeah. Smudgy did make a slight appearance earlier in the show, so we're giving the people what they want.
We're going to roll out more and more Smudgy till this whole podcast is just
mostly and
explaining his cooking vessels.
He is sleeping right next to me currently. Oh, he opened his eyes at that. He didn't care for that, but he's here. He's with us, and he loves you.
Okay, this is from the most recent episode, which was We Finally Got Poo Poo Head.
Oh, yeah.
And Jamie Kaplan, again, has abandoned the idea of cooking vessels at this point. Tried it for one episode.
Well, it didn't. You throw things against the wall, and whatever sticks.
I mean, we're trying. We're trying to get people to pick up on it. We'll see what happens. But Jamie says, "I was sure this title was going to refer to the charges against Trump. We finally got Poo Poo Head. I was sure this title was going to refer to the charges against Trump." Well, James, who said who said Poo Poo Head,
was not talking about Trump.
Well, my understanding.
No, I said we finally got Poo Poo Head because Poo Poo Head was in all of the trailers. We finally saw James say Poo Poo Head.
So it's not
me quoting him. It's
not connected to Trump. But in other news, and I don't know if you're aware of this, James will be Trump's Secretary of Education if Trump gets elected president.
My friend Barbara was like, "Hey, any interest a bunch of us on Tuesday are gonna go see James DJ at Sir. And I was like, I can't. I had something else to do. But then it turns out she couldn't even get in. There was people who flew out for it. There's like lines around the block. So he's doing really well. That poo-poo head did him right.
I hope that when he told people about his gig DJing at Sir,
Sexy Unique Restaurant.
I always forget that.
It's so dumb. It's crazy dumb. It sounds like a joke.
That he actually ended up throwing a drink in Schwartz's face. Like Schwartz was like, "Oh, is that like Rachella?" And that was probably my favorite incident in everything we watched was James throwing a drink in Schwartz's face, and everybody going, "Oh, this is bad. This is bad. I'm getting out of here. I'm not going to stay here." And then
they all went to the same bar.
All of them sitting together in a bar. It was like, yeah, you got to get the fuck away from people in that moment. But here's the other thing, and this reminds me of another Schwartz thing, and I can't believe we're still talking about this shit. But
for the record,
the person that I watched this stuff with sent me a clip. So now there's a show called, I forget what it was called. It's like Mission to Mars or something like that.
Oh, yes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it's a bunch of celebrities learning
Natasha,
how to... Yes. So you know the clip I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. It's a good one.
So...
It seems like a joke, but I think it's real.
Yeah, Schwartz is talking to Natasha. And I don't remember... Natasha Leggero. Did we ever have her? Did we ever have... Okay, I was assuming that we did, but I couldn't remember. So Natasha, friend of the podcast, and just a really funny comic, and
so funny.
I love Natasha. But so she's talking to him, and I don't know how they got into it. Like there was one that was a short version, and then there was a longer version that kind of gave the whole. But apparently, they were talking about Schwartz getting a divorce, and somehow Natasha trying to be
like empathetic,
kind, was like, well, I think the pandemic was really hard on a lot of people's relationships. And Schwartz was like, well, I actually think that the pandemic was
really good for our marriage.
Yeah, it was good for our marriage. And Natasha just goes,
you got divorced.
It was so funny. And she did it so deadpan. It was hilarious.
It's pretty good.
I mean, the guy is just a dope. So anyway, Poo-Poo had nothing to do with Trump, but again, James Kennedy will be in the Trump administration's cabinet. Maybe Secretary of Labor? Or he'll just be in the conference room DJing in the back.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the last one. This is from our old friend Felipe, who says, in retrospect, it's really crazy that hair was brought up so much during this episode.
The play or the concept or both?
I guess probably. Well, hair is all in caps in the sentence he wrote. So I'm assuming he's talking about we must have talked about the musical.
We did, because I saw a musical and remembered their calendar was they did hair, then they did cabaret, and they're doing hair again.
They love hair. Hair is amazing. I mean, let the sun shine in, you know. That's one of the friendship bracelets I have, is let the sun shine.
That's nice. Well, your skillet has it. You don't have it.
No. I'm talking about my friendship bracelet.
Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry.
My skillet would never wear a friendship bracelet like that because it's on the stove. There's no sun in the kitchen. Well,
and also they probably are a little threatened by the sun, honestly, as a heating source.
They don't want to be cooked on the sun because they'll melt. Like they'll melt the way a Jell-O mold does when you bake it. Well, that's the end of viewer comments, and I think that's all we have for this particular episode. Please let us know in the comments what your favorite cooking vessel is, how many times you've seen Henry Winkler in real life.
If Happy Days came out on Tuesdays.
Oh, right. Did Happy Days come out on Tuesdays? And we will see you next time on The Long Shot.
Bye.
But if I can't stop this restlessness, I can't stop the rest of this. I'll take my longing to the shore, and I'm going back westward, so I can counter-sequester myself from yourself, and yourself from the storm. The streets are more quiet than they were when I left them. I won't start a riot, but I guess I've got a couple of questions, like where the hell are you? And what am I to do now that I've returned and my bridges have been burned? As my luck would have it, you quit your bad habit. You started sleeping with the door closed and the curtains drawn tight, and an absence of light, and the feeling something bad's gonna happen. So my shoulders pulled through just in time to find 4 hands in the air, but none of them were mine. So I'm going back out there. Yeah, I'm going back out there in spite of you. But I need you back sometime. Yeah, I need you back sometime. But any old time won't do.